Hari Om. Let's start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadasi, the 9th chapter of Panchadasi, and it's called the Dhyana Deepaha. So it's on the meditation, and Vidyaranya starts with, this is not a regular meditation, this is meditation on the Nirvikalpa Brahman. That means that is Nirguna Brahman. So we are familiar with the Saguna Brahma. That means meditation on the form where we invoke the presence of the Lord, even though we do not really see the Lord, but we have an idea in terms of what is the nature of the Lord. So Lord is all pervading, and for example, if it's a Vishnu, so this is, we have already a established form that we can think of as though it is with the Chaturbhujaha, Shankar Chakram. All that description has been provided by the Shastras or Puranas, and having full faith in the Shastras and recognizing that that is the nature of the Lord, assuming, even though I have not seen the Lord, I can invoke the presence of the Lord in some form, assuming or understanding clearly that the form is not the Lord, but I am only invoking the presence of the Lord so that I can do upasana. So it can be a form of a wooden form, or it can be form of the metal, or it can be form any other form, even in the form of the turmeric powder or something like that. And after making it, we invoke the presence of the Lord into that. So Asmin Bimbe Mahavishnum Avahayami. So I invoke the presence of the Lord there, and considering that from then on, until I ask him to leave that place, that it is a Vishnu there. So we assume that Lord has come, and therefore we offer all the 16 the upacharas to the Lord, because we have invited a chief guest. If we invite even simple collector, we do all sorts of things, cleaning everything, putting everything under the carpet to make sure nobody sees all that. Therefore, and you offer a Coke or something like that, or some drink. Same way, when the Lord comes, you offer water to clean himself, or to clean or wash his feet, and then invite him, and then you give him all the upacharas, and including whatever the naivedyam that you give. You don't give prasadam. What you give is naivedyam. What you get from the Lord is a prasadam. And all that is done, and everything after the Deepam Darsayami and the Naivedyam Samarpayami. So I am offering one by one to make sure that I am doing it, and he knows that I am doing it, to make sure. Otherwise, there is no response from him. So we should, that is the whole upasana, and that's what is the invocation in some form, that I am invoking the nature of the Lord, even though I have not seen the Lord. But I have faith that I am only praising the Lord. And the prayers will go to him, and I get the benefit of because if it is a kamya karma or nishkama karma, depending upon the motive force for my puja, I will eventually get, if I follow the proper procedures. This is called Sagunopasana. Here in this case, the Vidyaranya talks about Nirgunopasana, which is oxymoron, because you cannot really upasana on Nirguna Brahman. Nirguna Brahman is, that is infinite. Infinite alone is the one that doesn't have any attributes. Any finite thing has an attribute. That's how you define an object. Finite object is any definition that differentiates that object from all other objects. That's what a definition means. So definition of Ishvara, of the Brahman, if I try to define it, I have to differentiate from something other than Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman because Brahman is infinite. Therefore, there cannot be any differentiating attributes of Brahman in order to differentiate something from other than the Brahman. Therefore, he is infinite, therefore he is Nirguna Brahma. Well, other acharyas talks about the Ananta Kalyana Gunam. So all those things are valid for Saguna Brahma, and Saguna Brahma is the Ishvara, and Ishvara is needed for creation and so on and so forth. So we have no problem with that. But what is the reality of even Saguna Brahma? It is that Upanishad talks about that which is beyond anything. Tareva Somya Idamagramasit Ekameva Advitiyam. That which is beyond any attributive knowledge. It's pure existence alone. And existence is not an attribute, as some acharyas interpret. So Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam. These are attributes of Brahman. They are not attributes, they are called Swarupa Lakshanam. Just as H2O is not an attribute of water, H2O is a Swarupa Lakshanam of water. Water attributes is colorless, odorless, tasteless, that all we study in the physical properties, chemical properties for everything in order to differentiate one chemical or identify one chemical from the other chemicals. In the same way, we have the attributes are there for any finite. For infinite, Ishvara is there, but from the pure Brahman, existence is not an attribute. Because if existence is an attribute, then the locus of attribute, the one who has the attribute, should be different from attribute. If I say it is a blue lotus, blueness is the attribute of the lotus, and blueness is different from lotusness. Because this is an attribute, and that is Visheshana and it is Visheshya. So Visheshya is different from Visheshana. So if existence is an attribute, then the locus of attribute must be different from the existence. And what is different from existence? Only non-existence. So you cannot say existence is an attribute of non-existence, because it's a contradiction in terms. Therefore, existence is not an attribute, it's only the intrinsic nature. H2O is not an attribute, because H2O should be attribute, then attribute of what? So attribute of water. But water is the only name for H2O content only. It's not something different from H2O. H2O is water and water is H2O. So it's called Swarupa Lakshanam. So Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam is Swarupa Lakshanam, and it's not a attribute, and that's called, it's Nirguna Brahma. And how do I do Upasana and Nirguna Brahma? It's not possible. It says it is possible under certain circumstances. And that's what the whole chapter is. Now it's called Samvadi Brahma. That's how he started, and now he's coming to that point, and we'll read 123. Yatha Samvadi Vibhrantihi Yada Samvadi Vibhrantihi Palakale Pramayate Vidyayate Tadopastim Vidyayate Tadopastim Muktikale Tipakataha Muktikale Tipakataha. Together. Yadha Samvadi Vibhrantihi Palakale Pramayate Vidyayate Tadopastim Muktikale Tipakataha. So Yadha Samvadi Vibhranti, just like Samvadi Vibhranti, that means just like the one Samvadi Vibhranti, which is how he defined in the beginning of the chapter that we discussed before, where there is an error involved, but error can be, even though it is erroneous, it will lead to right knowledge. Even though it is an error involved in invoking the Lord, which is all-pervading, which I have not seen in the form that I can see, it's not really Lord. Lord is all over, infinite, but I am invoking in a small idol there and doing all the prayers. And this is not an idol worshipper. Everybody does it when we salute a piece of cloth and sing the national anthem. We are saluting the nation, not a piece of cloth. In the same way, when I am doing the puja, I am doing the puja of the total Lord, which cannot be brought in, but I am using this as an idol for the ideal behind the idol. In the same way, it's a Samvadi Brahma. Same way, even though it is erroneous, even though it's not really Vishnu, but still the puja I get the result of as though I am praying Vishnu. So in the same way, yada samvadi vibhrantihi, just as the error that fructifies if I go do process that are outlined, pumsaha, the seeker, phalakale, while receiving the fruits, pramayate, he will end up the right result even though the bhranti means it's a brahma, even though it's not real, but I ended up getting the right result. Pramayate. Tadi upaste, that upaste, that same way if I am meditating on Nirguna Brahman, that means Aham Brahmasmi. Why am I doing it? When I am not able to do vichara, I understood that the Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaivana or Aham Brahmaivana. So I understood that, but I am not able to claim that I am Brahman. Even though I understand I am Brahman, I am not able to claim, because in the transactions I am not able to keep that knowledge while transacting in the world. Therefore, the idea is because of some block, some kind of obstacle, and we have discussed all these obstacles. So because of that obstacles, I am not able to do, so I can do, suggestion is to do Aham Brahmasmi as upasana, where I am invoking what is truth, but invoking in a form that cannot be as a convenience for the mind to dwell on it. That's all the upasana is. So that the upaste, meditation on the Nirguna Brahma, adipakataha, due to maturity of that upasana, muktikale vijayate, one can recognize or realize that Aham Brahmasmi, muktikale vijayate. So become self-experience, or the experience of one's own self as the self in me is self in all. Sarva bhutastham atmanam, sarva bhutani cha matmani. One who sees oneself in self as well as in every self he sees only. Every self means essence of everything. Therefore, samatvam yoga uchyate. I see oneness, because that oneness is that myself only. So I see myself everywhere, therefore that is the oneness. Whether Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini, and so whether it is a Pandita, a knowledgeable person, or even the elephant or a dog, I have the same vision of myself in everything too. Or to say, Yomam Pasyati Sarvatra, Sarvancha Mai Pasyati, who sees me everywhere, Krishna says, and who sees everything in me. So from the bhakti point also, Lord alone is there, or I am alone there. Either way is the same statement, because when you are talking about I am not talking about anymore this localized body, mind, intellect. I am talking about the BMI, the body, mind, intellect. I'm talking about that enlivens the body, mind, intellect. The consciousness, I am a conscious entity, I am an existent entity. That existent, constant, I am part, not this part, because I am this, body is this. Anything objectifiable, I am not, because I am a subject. Neti is rejecting objectifiable entity, recognizing that I am the very subject, and that is what essentially I understood, and that is what is to be realization. We do 124 now. Samvadi brahmataha pumsaha, samvadi brahmataha pumsaha, pravuttasyanya manataha, prameti chetatopastihi, prameti chet tatopastihi mantare karanayatam. Mantare karanayatam. So samvadi brahmataha. So in case of samvadi brahma, there is a separate knowledge involved. When I am invoking the Lord in the form of an idol, that idol is not the Lord, so that is an error involved in the very process also, and I am doing puja. That's why other people criticize him, these are all idol worshippers and on so forth. But because when I am worshipping, it's not the idol, it is because I invoke the presence of the Lord in the idol. So therefore for me it is the Lord. For you it may be idol, but for me it is the Lord. So therefore that's called Sambhadi Brahma. So Sambhadi Brahma, even though I am doing the Nirguna Brahma Upasana, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahmasmi, I am Brahmasmi, it's not really japa, it is clear understanding is required. So by doing japa I don't realize, but here it can be led to the realization once I understood the Vedanta. So therefore this Nirguna Brahmapasana has to be done after Vedantic Sravana Mananam. So therefore Sambhadi Brahmataha Pumsaha Pravuttasya, when Pumsaha Anyamanataha, it is the realization is coming because of the support of the some other evidence that is coming in. It's not in your hands, but something else, because it is really Vishnu that you are praying, because Purana says that Vishnu is that the Santakaram, Bhujagasayanam, Padmanabham, all that is being described about the Vishnu. And therefore I am invoking the Vishnu. That scriptural statement is coming in support of it, even though I am praying here only a form or a localized form which is not really Vishnu. So even though it is Sambhadi Brahma, I will get the real benefit of doing, because Shastra says so. So in the same way, this is also same thing too. And therefore he gives an example. Pramechi ched. You say, then what is your idea that by doing Aham Brahmasmi Upasana you're going to get the truth? It says same thing. Says Pramati ched tato upastihi mantare karanayatam. So tat upastihi, so the meditation on the Nirguna Brahma also antare, and it leads to the direct means of knowledge, because aparoksha jnanam, and in the same way because of the scriptural statement is also there. So even though it is aparoksha jnanam is the cause for recognition now, because aparoksha jnanam means I am really Brahman. How do I get? By Mahavakya Vichara. So I also get the same benefit. So this is emphasized again in the next verse. Murti jhanasya matra dehe, Murti jhanasya matra dehe, Abhikaranata yadi, Astu nama tathapyatra, Astu nama tathapyatra, Pratyasattihi visishyate. Together. Murti jhanasya matra dehe, Abhikaranata yadi, Astu nama tathapyatra, Pratyasattihi visishyate. So Murti Jhanasya, so meditation on the form, on the Vishnu form or Shiva form or Ganesha form, when we are doing the meditation, Matra Dehi, Matra is Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Sri Ganapataye Namaha, all those things that you do as a mantra. So essentially japa, api, Karanata, that gives you ekagrata. Karanata here is ekagrata. That meditation in the form gives you an ekagrata, means chitta suddhi and concentration of the mind. Because I am doing the japa and mind is the thoughts are not running anywhere else, because that is the focus for the mind. Mind is given an navigation to chant. At the same time I am invoking the presence of the Lord in that form as I am chanting. So I'm not doing mechanically Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. Then mechanical doing japa will not help. So every time I chant, I invoke the presence and I invoke the Narayana in my mind also. So there is a murti and also there is an upasana. So that gives me, the mind doesn't get dissipated away. Yato yato nischarati manaschanchalamasstiram tatastato niyam yaitadu. So say whenever the mind has drifted, bring the back. So this is a procedure for ekagrata japa also. So therefore the karanata is ekagrata. If you ask astu nama, so the same thing. So what? Same thing happens in the case of the upasana on any idol, whether it's a Narayana or Shiva or Ganesha or any other form that I invoke, that brings the ekagrata, a concentration of the mind. But whereas, because there is a particular form involved for the mind to contemplate, and if so, there is no form for you to do the Nirguna Brahmapasana. If you say that, says what does that? So what does that lead to? So what? So what? This is called Astunama. Astunama means so what? So essentially, so there is nothing wrong with it. Tadapi, so even there, Atra, in the case of Nirguna Brahmopasana, Pratyasatihi, the Pratyasati means there is an immediate proximity of Brahman is there. So right there, wherever the Brahman is everywhere, Brahman means infinite. So everything is nothing but Brahman, and scripture says Brahman himself became many. So whatever I see is nothing but Brahman only. So therefore I don't have to go somewhere Vaikuntha to see Vishnu. I don't have to have a pratyaksham, sakshatkaram of some form and invoking the infinite in some form. It's only an invocation for developing a bhakti. So even the Lord comes, he has to only teach Vedanta only. So Pratyasati, the immediate proximity of Brahman is everywhere, and therefore there is no reason why it's not only Chitta Ekagrata, but it develops a Chitta Vishalata. That means expansion of the mind. Expansion means I see Brahman everywhere, or I see Ishvara everywhere. That means everything is nothing but whether it's a good or bad. That's what in the Virata Purusha, the 11th chapter, we said one side all gods and the other side that even the devils, Rakshasas are also on there in the Virat Purusha. So both good and bad, both are together, is total constitutes the Lord. So therefore, I see everything is nothing but the Lord only. That vision comes, and therefore that is the result of the Upasana on Aham Brahmasmi also, because everywhere Brahman is there. So it is immediate and direct. Therefore this upasana is superior to anything else, because I don't have to go to Vaikuntha to see the Lord, or I don't have to go to the Kailasha to see Lord Shiva. Brahman is everywhere, and therefore it is immediate and direct also. That becomes aparoksha. We'll do next sloka 126. Nirgunopasanam pakvam, Nirgunopasanam pakvam, Samadhisyasya naitataha, Samadhisyasya naitataha, Yaha samadhir nirodakyaha, Yaha samadhir nirodakyaha, Sovayasanena labhyate, Sovayasanena labhyate. Together, Nirgunopasanam pakvam, Samadhisyasya naitataha, Yaha samadhir nirodakyaha, Sovayasena labhyate. So Nirgunopasanam, this upasanam on the Nirguna Brahma, that means Aham Brahmasmi upasana. Pakvam, when it gets mature, that means if I keep on constantly doing again and again and again, all the time, even when transacting in the world as I had to do due to prarabdha karma. So the pakvam, when it gets mature, that the mind is constantly in that, to the degree that even when in the dream also I am doing the same thing too. That is what essentially pakvam means. That means even under unconscious level or subconscious level, the mind is revolving in that only. So sanaihi means slowly. Sanai rupa madre. So sanaihi means slowly the mind gets dissolved into it or absorbed into it. So samadhi syat. So it leads to the samadhi. Samadhi means samatvam, dhi means buddhi. That means equanimity of the mind, because I am seeing the Brahman everywhere and I am seeing myself everywhere. So that becomes a knowledge also. So samadhi syat is called the nirvikalpa samadhi. Nirvikalpa samadhi means no other thought other than Brahman. So what is nirvikalpa samadhi? They think the thoughtless state is nirvikalpa samadhi. That's not true. Nirvikalpa samadhi is where my thought is centered only on that and that alone. Other than that, what is that? It's not something different from me, aham brahmasmi thought alone. So there is no more I and the thought. So that itself is a vikalpa rahita samadhi. No other distraction from the mind. That's called nirvikalpa samadhi. So that is attained. So savikalpa samadhi attained, tadaha then yaha, that nirodhe akhyaha leads to nirvikalpa samadhi, and saha anayasena. Anayasam means without ayasam, that is without any effort he glides into that state, labhyate. So what is essentially saying is that aham brahmasmi upasana leads to first the saguna upasana or the saguna samadhi and nirvikalpa samadhi in the end, and that's what is the ultimately you glide, mind glides into that. Just as the mind glides into deep sleep state. How does the deep sleep state occurs? Says I slide down and then I say I am not this. Slowly you withdraw yourself from the mental activities around the world, that say whatever you did in the morning or evening or whatever. Slowly you withdraw your mind and slowly you glide into it. You never know when you go into deep sleep state. It glides into it. As long as if you know, that means you are still awake. So it's the deep sleep state occurs when it is anayasena, without any effort you go. If there is an effort, you are still not sleeping. You will be restlessly roaming on the bed. So anayasanena, without any effortlessly, labhyate means you gain. You gain means what? You gain clear understanding that aham brahmasmi. 127. Nirodalabe pumsaha antarasangam vastu sishyate. Punah vasiti ismin vakyam jayeta tatvadhihi. Together, nirodhalabhe pumsaha antarasangam vastu sishyate punah vasitesmin vakyam jayeta tatvadhihi. So nirodhalabhe, having gained nirvikalpa samadhi, pumsaha, the seeker, antaha, in the end, asanga vastu means that which cannot be touched. Asanga vastu means that which is beyond any touch itself. That means asangoham punah sachidananda rupoham ahamevaham avyeha. Says that is the untouched by any of this. That's why atyatishtat dashangulam. So in the Purusha Suktam says the sahasrasirsha purushaha sahasraksha sahasrapat sabhumin vishwato vitva atyatishtat dashangulam. Atyatishtat means 10 inches above. It's not measured 10 inches. That means it is uncontaminated by what's happening in the the Leela Vibhuti. So therefore he is unaffected by that. Even though he is supporting the whole thing too, but he is unaffected. Same way, this is essentially the asangam vastu. Vastu means the truth, sishyate, avasishyate, vastu sishyate. That is what remains as the essence of it. Asmin, in this self, vakyat, by the power of Tattvamasi statement, that means Mahavakyas, punaha punaha, again and again, vasiti, the mind meditates upon it, tattvadihi, oneness of the truth, jayate, it takes place. As one glides into it and recognizes that that is the totality, that is Satchidananda Swarupam, and keep on mind punaha punaha, again and again when it dwells, it firmly abides into that, and that's essentially becomes a aparoksha jnanam. Not only paroksha jnanam, that leads to aparoksha jnanam, which is essentially moksha. With this we stop here and come back again. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.